welcome to Keep On Collecting. As usual, we've got Andrew. Well, we've got Murdrew. Welcome, Murdrew. He's here in spirit, Andrew, as obviously with isolation and everything going on. And it's kind of what we do these days. It's take a picture of Andrew's head and put on a Masters of the Universe character. So his name's Murdrew. I'll have to think of a new one next time. However, what we're here for is to talk about my love of wrestling figures. Yes, after the last video, I got a bit of a special request from a young man, a 9-year-old named Luca. And so, hi Luca, thank you very much for watching my video. And you know, I worked with your mum a few times, and we had some fun. So at work, we had some fun at work. So it was great to hear from her and about you and your love for wrestling. And it's something that we share, because as you can see, I've got a couple of wrestlers here that I want to share with you. And I hope you don't mind. I'll just spend maybe 5-10 minutes, maybe 10, talking about, you know, where it all started. And of course that started in 1985, because I'm pretty old. And the very first WrestleMania, 1985, with Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper. And it's funny enough that the first wrestlers that we got, they didn't have a Mr. T figure, but the first wrestlers we got was 1985. Straight after that, LJN figures, and here they are here. This figure of Paul Orndorff is the original figure from 1985. It was my brother Steve's, and I've still got it. So this is Paul Orndorff, and I've got Roddy Piper as well. Let me get Roddy Piper. So these two characters, these are the first wrestling figures we had, LJN 1985. So that's all we had, and they are massive. So that is probably 8 inches tall, 8-inch tall figures. I'm not going to put them back in the ring, they're going to fall over for sure. 8-inch tall figures, and we had those two, and we had Hulk Hogan. A couple other wrestlers, Big John Studd and Junkyard Dog. We had those two wrestlers as well, and we had the 5, and you know, they were the first ones. And then I think probably until 1990 we didn't really get too many more wrestlers. I've only got, then in 1990 Hasbro started making some wrestling figures, only small, like 4-inch. I've only got one, and that's Roddy Piper. So I like Roddy Piper as well. So this is my Roddy Piper figure, Hasbro, and he's got a punching action. You flip his arm back and he goes bang and punches him. So that's about 1990. So, and then they only made them for 3 years, and we didn't get any more wrestling figures until they didn't make any more wrestling figures until the late 90s, 97, and they made these. They're a bit dodgy. They're like rubber, and well, this is bone crunching action Jakks figures. They didn't really look much like the wrestler, so they weren't very popular. They still had they were about 5 inches, 6 inches, and he's squeaky limbs. So this is Dr. Death, Steve Williams. There's a bit of history around Dr. Death, Steve Williams, which I'm not going to tell you about now, but yeah. So we only got the one bone crunching action figure. So they were only around for maybe 2 years, and then they tried to improve them. And now, what came first, chicken or the egg? No, I think they started making Titantron. So this is a Titantron figure. Now it's not a true Titantron figure. So I don't know, at the bottom here, I don't know if you can see, there's 2 squares in the foot. Now, a Titantron figure would have 2 metal little parts in the bottom of the foot. And you used to rub those metal parts across a sensor on this stage. And it was all electronic. And they didn't have a lot of figures. So they had, you know, The Rock, The Undertaker, Steve Austin, Mick Foley, and Kane, and they used to, as you ran those electronics across the stage, you come, and now entering the Titantron is Kane, and his music would play, and it's a great set. I'm going to try and pick it up actually, because it's a lot of fun, And so that was the Titantron figures. So that was about year 2000. And then 2001, 2002 maybe, computer technology, amazing things. They could scan the head, and the realism of the figure increased. So I've got the example of that. That's a Chuck Palumbo figure. I know you're probably not familiar with Chuck Palumbo, but this likeness of the R3 tech figure, it's really good, and a massive improvement from the original bone crunching action. So Jakks were improving their figures, and they only lasted a couple of years as well. So from about 2003, Jakks, they really amped it up, and they created ruthless aggression. So from 2003 until the line ended in 2010 with Jakks, we got some jacked up figures. I've got a Goldberg one here. This is a Goldberg. You can see he's just massive. He's ripped. He's jacked up arms and his legs. And so yeah, that's the ruthless aggression. And then they also gave us classics. So classics were the older style. So 60s wrestlers from the 70s, from the 80s and early 90s. And this is the Hulk Hogan version. Brother, say your prayers and eat your vitamins. Yeah, that's Hulk Hogan. And of course, so they were really good figures. It came with a lot of accessories as well. So this ring, 22-inch ring from angle to angle. So this is a Jakks ring, and so this was massive in its day. So this came out, and then of course a lot of these accessories, like Adam Rose is sitting in the wheelchair. There's a bin, stretcher, this ladder. It's all from Jakks. They were great with accessories as well. Always came with accessories figures. But they lost the license in 2010 and Mattel took over. So Mattel had it for the last 10 years. Yay, 10 years. And so they've created some great figures. So I think the big thing about Mattel, they're being praised for representation of the lady wrestlers. I mean, Jakks did represent the ladies somewhat. I mean, wrestling was completely different for lady wrestling from, that Attitude Era through to 2010. It was a lot of, pillow fight matches or a slumber match. And it was just, today the ladies can wrestle. They got a lot more talent. I mean, there was some certain wrestlers like Trish Stratus, and those type, and Lita, they really were good for ladies wrestling. They set up the foundation for where it is today. So we've got comparison. This is a Jakks China figure. So Jakks made this figure around that 2005 mark. Of course, we've got Mattel, we've got Becky Lynch. So Mattel are doing a great job with the ladies wrestling figures. They're being praised for that. And we've got two types of figures at the moment. We've got the basic, which is a Daniel Bryan. So Daniel Bryan, you can see straight belly and a lot of articulation in these, like wrists and shoulders and elbows, ankles and knees. So there's a lot of articulation in the basic figure, but the elite figure, which is a few dollars more, they've got this gut crunching effect. They've got a little bit more articulation in the upper leg here. They can turn around a bit like that. So that's the elite figure, Macho Man. Ooh yeah, brother. So they've got a couple of different types, and we don't get a lot of accessories with Mattel, but they've released a lot of figures, and I look over there because I've set up all my wrestling figures on the floor. It looks like a big horseshoe, so we can get a good view of all the 250 wrestlers. And actually, I probably could have more if I hadn't sold a lot of the Jakks figures, because I like to upgrade my figures. And so I'll put all these wrestling figures back in the group, and without trying to knock them over, because if I knock them over, they all just fall over like dominoes. It's terrible, and it's happened. So anyway, oh, I forgot one little thing. So I've just got a couple other figures here. So I like WCW too. So WCW, they were initially made, I only like them because I really like Kevin Nash, and he left WWF in 96, mid 96, went to WCW, and with Scott Hall, and Hulk Hogan was already there, but they formed the NWO, which was huge. NWO, it's big these days, you know, too sweet. And so Toy Biz got the contract for these figures. This is Slam and Crunch. So you could lift lift his arm up and crunch him down. It's like a slam and crunch. So Toy Biz got the contract for these figures, and they did a good run. They ran from, you know, the probably the late 90s, like 98 through to 2000. And, you know, interesting figures like, of course, Vampiro, because Vampiro is one of my favorite figures. I mean, look at that hair. This hair is amazing. Just he throws it around and it reveals his vampire likeness. So, and his tattoos are just amazing detail on this figure. They really were doing a good job at the time, Toy Biz, on their figures. But it came to an end when WWE took over WCW, and that license was lost. So after that, there was a small company called TNA. They got formed around early 2000s, 2002, 2003, and that was started by Jeff Jarrett, and I think his father, Jerry Jarrett. And there was a third. I think they all went on a fishing trip, and after a bit of fishing and drinking, they probably decided that it was a bit of a shame that the wrestling landscape had changed. There was only WWE. That's it. There was no WCW, ECW. They'd all been eaten up by WWE. So they decided that was a bit of a shame. We need to give people options, and they formed TNA. So your TNA, they had a license with Marvel Toys. So Marvel. So they created a couple of toys. No, that's wrong one. This one. This is Scott Steiner. So here's a bit of a later release. I'll show you some other ones I've got. I haven't got too many of these. So some good detail here as well. Scott Steiner and his big tattoo, and good articulation in the knees. They could bend these knees. And so yeah, they did some good figures too, Marvel. And then of course Marvel lost the license, Marvel Toys. I can't remember the details. However, Jakks now creates the wrestling figures for TNA. So we've got Kevin Nash here. So anyway, we will head over and have a look at the wrestling figures. Check this out. Hope you've enjoyed. All right, here we are. 250 odd wrestlers set up, and if these guys fall, it's like dominoes. So let's move in and get closer. So I'll just go slowly around all these wrestlers. I won't particularly mention any well, I will mention some characters. So we'll start with the lady wrestlers that I've collected. I haven't been collecting a lot of lady wrestlers over the years. So as you can see, there's the Bella Twins here and the current champion Becky Lynch. These are the Mattel ones at the back here. So that's Sunny, that's they're Jax and Trish Stratus, Jax, Beth Phoenix. So these ones at the back are all Jax related lady wrestlers. So yeah, we'll come across here to Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Got Ronda Rousey there in her figure. A lot of these figures for Mattel are basics. So the basics, well, as it says, they're a very basic figure. They got minimal articulation. So I guess for this character, Bob Orton, for example, He just kind of got a straight belly. Can just got the neck and arms and elbow articulation. Whereas you come across to, let's come across over to, these are the legends, they call these. So we've got Macho Man here. So Macho Man's got a bit of a crunch. I guess that's their extra articulation for the elite figures. So we've got The Rock, Shawn Michaels in his, I'm going to get this wrong, but it's his WrestleMania 13 gear, I think, or 12. Roddy Piper. Let me just get a better angle here. All right. So, yeah, we're just moving through some of these legends. There's the Ultimate Warrior there. We got Charles Wright as Papa Shango, and then as the Godfather. A couple of gimmicks that he had through the 90s and 2000s. Jimmy Snuka, X-Pac. Got Doink the Clown. We've got Kurt Angle, who recently retired in WrestleMania 35, Yokozuna. Of course, here we got CM Punk, Booker T, Triple H, Edge, Steve Austin. So ECW contingent with Rob Van Dam and Tommy Dreamer and Rhino. Scotty 2 Hotty, the father-son of Mr. Perfect. And, well, Michael McGillicuddy, I think his latest. The Hurricane with his green gear, Gold Dust. So come across here. So a lot of this lot of wrestlers here are current wrestlers in the roster of Raw and SmackDown. So of course I know that someone's favourite is Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. And at the front there, of course, is Hulkman, the Icon, the man that started all this, in my opinion. Is the first front man for the WWE. So at the back we've got a couple of Undertaker figures, a couple of Kane figures, Kane unmasked. A couple of big boys, Big Show, Braun Strowman at the back. AOP in their coats, jackets. There's the New Day. Come down to Adam Rose here at the front. And behind him is Zack Ryder, and of course there's Brock Lesnar. We've got these small wrestlers like Hornswoggle and El Torito. So over here, let's go this guy with the hair. I have recorded something about he being one of my favourite action figures, wrestling action figure. Just purely the hair. It's just amazing. Great action figure. So these ones here, we've got Shark Boy. And we got Chris Daniels and Scott Steiner. They're from TNA, the early days of TNA, probably around 2005. One's like, well, this one here is Dennis Rodman. So Dennis Rodman is an ex-basketball player. So WCW created a figure of him around 99. And got Buff Bagwell, poor Stevie Ray, Booker T, his partner. Conan, they're from WCW. So at the back there we can see the Usos, Chad Gable, got Dean Ambrose. So these guys here, Dean Ambrose, so we'll lift that up. Dean Ambrose, Jack Swagger and Stardust, they've all gone to AEW at the moment. Got Vince McMahon at the back there. A couple of more big, so these ones now, with starting with Vince, these are more the Jacks figures. So we've got Goldberg down the front here, and we've got Sabu. So these are all Jacks. Ruthless Aggression. Jacks made these from well, the Ruthless Aggression was from about 2001, 2003 through to the end of the line in 2010. So here are the classics. They're like the Ruthless Aggression, but more old school wrestlers. So we've got like King Kong Bundy and Chief Jay Strongbow, Bam Bam Bigelow, Georgie Animal Steel, and Sergeant Slaughter's losing his hat. So We come back into Mattel. So all these wrestlers here don't really wrestle anymore for WWE. They've either retired or moved on to other federations. I guess there's Giant Khali, Great Khali, sorry, not Giant Khali. Vladimir Kozlov. We've got Santino Marella. Carlito here at the front with the big fuzzy hair. Fit Finlay, the Irish guy. So he started in WCW, moved over to WWE when it took over in 2000. Same as William Regal here. So I'm not sure if you know any of these wrestlers. I can name them all, but Chavo Guerrero, nephew of Eddie. So this is just a different line. I've got some, move back a bit here, got some R3 wrestlers, so the Hardy Boys, Tajiri and Chuck Palumbo. We've got a Kevin Nash one here. They're R3, still made by Jakks, around 2000. This one here is a Titantron, so I've explained about Titantron. He's not a true Titantron though, but disappointing. And of course my favourite wrestler, which is Kevin Nash, Diesel. And we end with the only bone crunching action, Dr. Death. So yeah, that's my 250 odd wrestlers. I do have to say, down the back here we've got Andre the Giant and Giant Gonzalez. They are two of my favourite figures. Giant Gonzalez is a huge figure, and if I ever put up my favourite wrestling figures, he'll be on it. A little bit of history about Giant Gonzalez. So it's taken many years to accumulate 250 wrestling figures, and of course as I said earlier, I'd have probably a lot more if I hadn't sold a number of the Jakks ones. Yeah. Go down to this level. I don't know. Anyway. All very interesting. Probably people's mouths have dropped the amount of wrestlers. So yeah, they cover up a whole floor, and as I said, you knock one over, it's like a game of dominoes. They all fall. Actually, we could try that. Maybe later. All right, let's head back to the room for the closer. Hope you enjoyed that. So that's it. A lot of figures, right? I know. It's a hobby. It's a passion. I love wrestling figures. I love wrestling. And, I've had a lot of fun filming all this. I've got this figure down here. Look, I haven't shown this one. It was in the 250 display out there. And I actually got this figure from America at Christmas. Someone went to America and they went to Walmart. And they picked it up for me. And I don't know if you've heard of Ghostbusters, but Mattel did a crossover between Ghostbusters and WWE. And the Ghostbusters were Steve Austin, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, and John Cena. They were the 4 Ghostbusters. And the ghost was The Undertaker. And the Undertaker figure is unique. It's amazing. Here it is. Anyway, here we go. I'll show you this close up. Glows in the dark. The belt glows in the dark. Take his hat off. Everything, it's like an ectoplasmic Undertaker. So it's like the Elite figures, so it's got the chest crunching action. So yeah, I love this figure. So this is up in display. When I do the toy room tour, you'll see him displayed with the Ghostbusters stuff. So the Undertaker, yeah, love that figure. I like a lot of I have a lot of favourites. A lot of, the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan, Diesel, AJ Styles. I like longevity. Can't even say the word. In the wrestling business, someone who can show that they can talk, that they can wrestle, and they can get the crowd going, like a Hulk Hogan. So I did film a lot more segments, and the video originally went for over an hour. That's how much filming I did do. So, you know, favorite matches, favorite wrestlers. I filmed out of these figures, I filmed the Raw and SmackDown rosters, just so you could have a look at them more closely. I do a lot more talking, you know, who's a favorite on the mic, who does good promos, entrance music. So went for an hour. There was a lot of footage, and I just thought, well, that's too much. So if you do want to see it, Luca, this is specifically for you. I will put it up for you to look at, and you can just sit back and watch it for, it's probably going to be about half an hour extra footage. I can put that up there for you, and you can sit there and watch it and enjoy it. Listen to me ramble on like a madman. Anyway, so that's it. That's basically my wrestling figures, and it don't tell Leanne, but it continues to build, and every now and then, not all the time, just get the odd wrestling figure. And people do ask, do you play with them? No, I'm 50 years old, as if I'm going to play with wrestling figures. Anyway, as Andrew and I say, before we say that, we're going to say, please like, please subscribe, and please comment if you like on the video. And thank you very much for watching. We appreciate it. Any feedback is great. We'll take it. Any suggestions on things you want to see? I'll do a toy room tour next, I think. Yeah, do that in a couple of parts, because it's not as big as Andrew's, but it's still a hefty size. And as Andrew and I say, what do we say, Andrew? Keep on collecting. Well, that's Andrew, not me. Keep on collecting. Thank you. This kind of looks like a battle royale, doesn't it? No one's looking. And Hulk Hogan, he's picking up Andre the Giant and slams him down. And he's been crushed from behind by Macho Man. And off the top of the ladder comes big, huge jump off the top. He's counting out 1, 2. He's up, his shoulders up. Oh no, Daniel Bryan kicks him. He's out of the ring. Shawn Michaels is gone. And oh no, what's this? Oh, he's gone down. AJ Styles has got him. The chair comes in. Vampiro's hits AJ Styles and picks him up and crunches him down. You know what I say, brother? I'm gonna come and eat your prayers. Eat your vitamins and see your prayers, brother. Hulk Hogan goes in the ladder and takes down Vampiro. Adam Rose cannot stand for this any longer and jumps on top of Hulk Hogan. It's a pile-up. Andre the Giant rises, gets Adam Rose. Oh no, it's a huge choke slam. He's out. Oh yeah, brother. You're not going to take the Macho Man. He's gone. Oh no. AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, they do a double kick on Andre, and Andre goes down. And Hulk Hogan bounced off the ropes and double clothesline. Vampiro sneaks to the top, jumps, and he's missed. He's gone. What a mistake by Vampiro. And Hulk Hogan knocks out AJ Styles. Oh, AJ Styles is gone. And Daniel Bryan bounced off the ropes and hits him. But no, he's mistimed it. And Hulk Hogan is the champ. No, but wait. Who's this on the top of the ladder? It's Murdrew. Down he comes. Rolls him over. 1, 2, 3. Murdrew is the champion.